Welcome back, America. If that story today, when it broke from the Inspector General of the Justice Department, sounded familiar, that the administrative state, the Justice Department, was spying on congressional investigators, because it started here at Real America's Voice and Just News, first with Kash Patel getting his notification, and then the notification that went to our next guest. He is the founder of Empower Oversight. Before that, one of the most influential investigators in the Senate Judiciary Committee's history. He's our good friend, Jason Foster, and he's here to react to what the IG said. Jason, you were right all along. Not that we ever doubted it, but when you see the IG say not only did it happen, but it was inappropriate, and it was done to hide the fact that Congress was being spied on. I'd love to get your reaction to all that.
Yeah, well, once again, the IG's come out with a report that just establishes and confirms everything that we've been saying for the last several years. Ever since I got my notice from Google, we've been pressing for more transparency on this, and now we finally have some, thanks to the IG. We had filed in court to try to get all of the filings from DOJ unsealed related to the subpoena for my records, and we won a partial victory there. But they didn't give us the key facts that we find in this report, which are that none of the applications alerted the court to the fact that this group of congressional staffers, that this group of people they were seeking records on, were in fact congressional attorneys. So the constitutional separation of powers issues, they just hid that from the court. They just didn't tell the court about that. And worse than that, it's always sort of buried in, just sort of lukewarm language from an IG. They state everything, they understate everything, but the report makes it extremely clear that they didn't tell it's not just that they hid that one fact from that really important fact from the court. They also misled the court. I mean, they told the court that the people who were the subject of these subpoenas, myself and all my fellow Democrats and Republicans, staffers and attorneys working up on Capitol Hill, they claimed multiple times for 40 or more staffers over a 6-year period, they claimed over and over again that we were either flight risks or working with a foreign power, or that we would destroy records if we just found out that Google and these other providers had turned over our records. Well, none of that was true. They had no probable cause to believe that was true. They had no evidence or support for that, but they just cut and paste the requirements. And the IG calls it in this report multiple times, boilerplate language. That's what they did. It's just a cut and paste process. They use boilerplate from the statute. They said, well, here's what we have to say these magic words, and then the court will let us gag Google, a $2 trillion company, right, saying that they're not allowed to tell their legislative branch customers that they turned over their records to the executive branch.
It's just amazing.
Jason, through repeated misconduct at the DOJ, of course, you as a subject, Kash Patel, other congressional staffers, Donald Trump, it seems that with this election, and especially with the result of this election, the American people are tired of hearing about misconduct and nothing happening. I don't know if this is unethical. I don't know if it's illegal. I don't know if it's a fireable offense. But what I do know is what this election said, which is that the American people want scalps at this point. Do you anticipate that there is any chance of that happening?
Well, with the new administration, I would hope that there will be accountability for people who misled the court. The IG doesn't have jurisdiction over attorney misconduct. In my view, what these AUSAs did in in taking this boilerplate stuff, sending it up to the court to have them rubber stamp it, I think it's misconduct. I think that they should be held accountable for it, and hopefully the new administration will hold them accountable. It's not just about putting in new policies and procedures. Policies and procedures don't matter if people ignore them. And if it's just a piece of paper or a book on a shelf that says you're supposed to follow these rules, and then you're just not candid and not honest with the court about what it is that you're asking for. I mean, it's just like the Carter Page FISA application, right? They left out a really important fact. Hey, we got all this information from a DNC paid operative. They left that out of the application, right? Here, they left out from these applications for these gag orders the fact that, oh yeah, this has to do with a whole bunch of, dozens and dozens of congressional attorneys. They just left that out as if it wasn't relevant. And the department's policies, one thing that's really interesting from the report is the department's policies, their internal control, they don't have any internal controls, and their policies don't treat congressional members of Congress and congressional attorneys equally with members of the media. If you read the chapter in the report that goes into detail about what happened with the media, you have all kinds of due process where the media companies are able to challenge the subpoenas and, argue about the scope of them. the congressional leadership never even got a notice that any of this was happening. The court didn't know it was happening. The Congress didn't know it was happening. This cut and paste boilerplate rubber stamp process just has to be reformed fundamentally.
Jason, if I were going to rename this show, I'd call it Bureaucrats Gone Wild, because we started with Jim Jordan telling us about 14,000 bureaucrats going through 3 million bank records. Then we went through Liz Truss talking about the blob in Britain and here with the same problem. And now you with this extraordinary story. You've done a lot of thinking. You're one of the most thoughtful people I know, and just trying to understand how we fix our government. Give us some ideas that come to mind that a Kash Patel, that a Pam Bondi, that a President Trump maybe could rely on quickly to start to change the culture. Because this starts with values first. If you don't care about the rule of law, it doesn't matter what rules are in place.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think one of the easiest things you can do is just impose transparency. Yeah. I mean, and that's a doable, that's an achievable goal. And so one of the things that I would do is just, I would advise Kash to go in and just make sure that the public is, we have dozens of FOIA lawsuits that we have ongoing about all of these hot button issues, all of these abuses of power. Well, go in there and instruct the bureaucrats to comply with the FOIA process. Settle these cases, give us the documents that we're seeking. Transparency goes a long way to stopping misconduct, because people tend to do the right thing if they know that it's going to be seen in the light of day.
And the work you did at the Empower Oversight Center proved that when those whistleblowers came forward. Just look how much the Hunter Biden case changed direction. The work you do there every day representing whistleblowers, Jason, is so important. We're really honored to have you on, and congratulations for getting a little bit more transparency to the American people today. We're grateful for your work.
Thank you.
Thanks. Wow, what a great story. What a great guy. He does so much important work, folks. Go check out Empower Oversight, the most important whistleblower center in America right now.